Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Switch here with another Dune Spice Wars news, and today is a sit down with Jeremy White, art director on Dune Spice Wars. So I'm just going to read this through to you guys and maybe add something from myself a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe I will not say anything and I will just read because actually I don't have an idea about the art director, either art direction or art design. So yeah, we're just gonna carry on with it. As we edge ever closer to the April 26th release of Dune Spice Wars, we sat down with our lead artist Jeremy to talk about his work on the game, creating a distinct but recognizable style for the project, his experiences working for the first time on a world-renowned intellectual property, how the style of the game evolved over time, and more. Check out the full interview below. What was the first official art that you work on for the project? The very first piece of art we made for the project was a large-scale view of Arrakis along with a fake in-game mockup in order to set up the mood. It has obviously changed quite a lot since then, but we try to keep the stylized look throughout the whole production. So as we can see on the screenshot below, the Dune of Spice Wars environment concept art. So that was the fake in-game mockup in order to set up the mode, and this is actually what the people said before on the frequent asked questions. Like looks like really cartoonish, like especially if you can see that a red building on the right corner looks like some, I don't know, building from the Flintstones or whatever. So yeah, so probably nobody will play this game that that will came up like that fake mock-up. So yeah, this is like, yeah, this is looking like really cartoonish, like really a game for, I don't know, 5 years old kids. So probably nobody wanna play this game. Okay, we're just gonna carry on with another question. What were some of your main inspiration when developing the art style for Spice Wars? Our first idea was to make something that didn't look like any of the previous Dune games. I will just add something to this in a minute. But one that maintains Shiro Games' touch and to make things more stylized than the usual for X games. We also decided to add a hint of Art Deco feel to the overall designs, mostly for the user interface, but also slightly incorporated on the characters and props. That way, it would make our game stand out a bit more in the terms of art direction, because that's not something you see everywhere. Alright, okay, yeah. Fully agree with this one. Hint of art deco. That's great, but I just want to touch a little bit on the like look like any of the previous Dune games, but on that maintain the Shiro games. So it didn't look like any of the previous Dune games. I mean, this is really hard. Well, I want to say hard task. It's not really a hard task to do. To didn't look like any previous Dune games, just simply because the Dune games are so old. So if you will compare Dune 2 to any whatever title, but we're just going to compare to the new Dune. So this is like above and beyond with the graphics and stuff. It's like Dune 2 we can call like a retro game, right? So there's no way you are going to do something similar, because there is nothing these days similar to the game from 1994, I believe so, or 1991. I don't remember the date, but you know what I mean. And if we're talking about the Dune 2000, the Dune 2000 was basically just Command and Conquered with the layout of just Dune genre, just Dune world. So basically that was it. And today we are going to have, not like this day, but you know what I mean, like on the April 26th, we are getting something which is similar to like Settlers. Well, obviously similar to the Shiro game, which is Nordgard, but with the different universe, because it's a Dune. So at the end of the day, everything is going to be on the desert. We're just going to harvest the spice, obviously, and we need to gather some water as well to be able to survive. And we have some surroundings, like wind. I mean, wind is everywhere, but there's going to be like a level of the wind in different areas. So there's going to be a stronger wind, and this is not everything, I believe so. So what I try to say is totally different environment, totally different place, totally different world, and that's why it's a Dune, right? So it's really, like I said, not hard, because I always say like it's really hard. It's not hard to do the game which is not going to look like a Dune 2 title. That's what I meant, right? Okay, though. So we're just going to move on to another question, and that Art Deco looks. Well, we can actually see this on any trailer or any video, because that's actually how it looks like the game. So that's really great. That's what they mentioned also. I just want to touch a little bit of that Art Deco. That's also what they meant by saying they want to do the sand with a different palette and different gamma of color, because at the end of the day, the sand is just a sand, right? But they actually trying to put different approach of like the sand. I don't know how to explain this more, but when you have like the more hashed sand, hashed deserts, there's going to be a different color than the desert with probably with the spice on it, and desert without the spice, and it's going to have more in depth. This is not just the sand. The Dune, it's not just the plain color. So that's obviously great work on this one. Did you take any inspiration from the older movies or games? We try to keep some distance from the previous Dune materials out there, because we really wanted to have our own take on it. Well, that's a great answer, but also everything is so old. I mean, despite the fact that the new movie, that's obviously, yeah, it's really fresh, but other than that, it's like really old. And Dune is just too old to take into inspiration, unless from the books, I guess, on it, and express our own style. So that's great. Plus, obviously, having the opportunity to work within this world on Herbert's legacy is a once in a lifetime chance to express ourselves and make our own mark within this universe as a video game developer. So, yeah, I mean, I can't really add more than that. Than just what I said, like the books, obviously, because their books are never going to be the old. The books are always the great source to do games, movies, whatever you like, design, I guess. Was there ever a point where the game or characters looked distinctly different from the final design? Well, we can just see the screenshot above, and actually they're showing us the different looks. While the game most definitely changed a lot since the early stages of development due to our iteration process and all the trial and error we had to go through in order to find something that actually looks like what we had in mind when we started. So yeah, just taking a look right now on those 4 pictures, how they trying to put the Baron Harkonnen, and then ends up like a really tomato shape. Excuse me, potato shape, like a big bulb, isn't it? I mean, doesn't really matter for us as a gamers. I think so. Like what is going to look like on the end stage, but that's what we're having. That's what we get. Only the characters didn't change that much during development, apart from some small tweaks here and there, because we knew from the start that we would have a lot of them to make, and changing a character too much can have huge implication down the line in terms of texture, rigging, animation, etc. Okay, with Dune being such a well-known and beloved universe, did you face any challenges in developing a unique style for the game? Actually, yes, it was really hard to not take into account all of the incredibly cool stuff that was already out there on the internet, and yet we had to make something unique, different, and as great as possible. Another huge part of that challenge was the fact that everyone already has their own vision of Dune related, of what is Dune related things would look like. So the pressure of making something not too crazy and still appealing to the players that fit into the universe was definitely a tough one. Righty. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just doing what they want to do, right? So, and even if they will do like something extraordinary from the stuff which is on the internet, that's what's the art direction mentioned right now. It's still, I don't think so. Everybody will trying to say it's wrong, because at the end of the day, everybody have the different imagination of what's it's in the books and what it looks like, and because of the previous movies and the previous games, they showing us something. That doesn't mean we have to follow the steps, but well, they done what they done. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter because it's already done, right? So we just have to buy the game, download, and play and enjoy. What other challenges did you face whilst working on the game's art? Being consistent on the art direction is really a difficult task, and that's the case everything we start working on a new project, because we gather a lot of references at first, then we have to sort everything and make a decision on what we should aim for. But as the development goes, our vision becomes clearer, more precise, and some of the early work can become more and more irrelevant over time. So we had to be extra careful with the particular aspect of the game. On top of that, we also had to make each faction look unique, and this took a little while to achieve. Another obvious challenge for us was the environment. Arrakis is basically a desert planet, and we didn't want the player to spend countless hours looking mostly at sand dunes. So that's what I meant before, and that's what they mentioned before on the frequent asked questions. So our first goal was to explore different kinds of desert biomes and see how much variety we could bring in order to make the map less boring, less uniform. Added to the fact that the world has to be procedurally generated in order to look differently every time, it becomes even more complex task. Well, actually, they have some program for it, right? So the scale of the world wasn't easy to get right at first. We didn't like the more realistic version of having tiny units and bigger cities and villages. On the other hand, we didn't want the more cartoony exaggeration of having way bigger units and small buildings, so we tried to find a middle ground that end up working for everyone in the team. So more cartoony, like obviously if that's what they done is a great job, but if they will follow the steps like on that mock-up project on the beginning, that will be like disaster. Lastly, Dune Spice Wars is the first game in which we have animated and detailed characters in the front of the screen, the faction leaders. So that required a much larger amount of work than we were used to in order to reach the level of quality we wanted. Just because of one animated character. That's crazy, isn't it? What major differences did you experience between working on an original IP versus working on a well-known license such as Dune? The main difference is obviously that we had to stick to the existing material, and that meant cutting a lot of ideas that we had in the first place and be more careful about what we want to show and how we would show it. Working on the original IP means that we can basically make our own decisions every step of the way, and that is something we can't have in if the project is a licensed one. That being said, it was really cool to work with these constraints because it made us come out of comfort zone for the better. Okay. If they said so, I agree with that. Were there any underlying themes or motives you were hoping to convey with your art. We really wanted to make the game enjoyable for a wide range of players by making it a bit more colorful and vibrant than people would expect from 4X RTS games based on a Dune. That is something we try to convey with our previous games as well, and we wanted to keep that kind of appeal. We think the addition of the Art Deco team was a great idea in order to bring finer details and subtlety, so the overall look of the game to make it more refined and elegant. It is also our way to saying the game looks accessible, but there is more to it behind the curtain. We also try to put a hint of the Cold War propaganda poster feel to some of the illustration, especially on the political aspect of the game. Okay, and the last question, I believe so. Yeah, it's the last one. What has been your favorite part of your experience working on the project? Well, the fact that we actually got to work on the Dune universe was really exciting and already a huge deal for all of us here. Having the chance to bring our own ideas and design to such a sci-fi masterpiece certainly was the most fun part of this experience for most of us on the art side, at least. Big thanks to Jeremy for taking the time to answer our questions today. You can check out this his other works, over on artist station here. So there's a link. One for my spelling, and see you this time next week for our final article before Dune Spice was released into early access on April 26th. Okay, so it's going to be next week the new article. Like they said, they're just coming out from the comfort zone what they're creating, and the same with me. I'm just getting out from my comfort zone and doing videos in English, but hopefully at some point they're going to be much fluent and without less mistakes, because there's no really point to cutting all that stuff all the time. I think the people doing mistakes, and I'm just going to leave like it is. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you're somebody actually listening and watch, and probably those people who are already involved in the Dune, they already read this through, because this news was I believe so 2 days ago. So going to check just 1 second. So was 13, yeah, 2 days ago news. But what can I add to it? I mean, I'm not really a guy who really care about the lore and the art, but at the end of the day, I think I'm going to play the Dune, so I just want to put everything what they will be putting on their website. So yeah, I think it's interesting for some people. I'm not going to say like I'm really excited about this, because I'm just excited about the Dune itself, about the playing the game. But it's good. They showing, they giving us some stuff so we can basically read something in order to wait for the final touch, which is downloading the game, right? So yeah, there's going to be another news next week, as we know. So thank you very much, guys, one more time for watching. See you guys in the next video, and take care, and bye for now.